Hey guys, today I'm just going to show you how I paint the Lion's shield on basically almost all the models I've done on this one. I start out with a Mephiston Red base, and then I almost do a pin shading of Flesh Tear's Red with 1-to-1 mix with contrast medium. Because if you do the Nuln Oil later on, it will have this red shine through, which looks very nice in the end result. The next thing I'm doing is using Retributor Armour around on the corners and basically blocking in everything that is gold. The next color blocking in after all the gold is done is using Iron Hands Steel as the base color for all the silvers. Once that's blocked in, I'm using Balthasar Gold, just going through around the shield little rope thingies on the middle and all the way around. Once I've finished with the Balthasar Gold, I am starting with the green, and for this I'm using Caliban Green. And I will do the top part as you can see, and I'm also doing the little rubies on the shield. Once I've finished with the greens, I'm using Screamer Pink on the wax for the purity seals. Once I've finished the wax, I'm using Ushbati Bone on the purity parchments, and you might need to do 2 coats on this as it's a layer paint. So now that we finished all that, we're going to start with the shading, and for that I'm using Gulliman Flesh with 1-to-1 with contrast medium on all the gold parts. This will give it a really cool look once dry. On all the silver and the Balthasar Gold, I'm using just the normal lovely Nuln Oil. For the purity seals, I'm using Seraphim Sepia. Just make sure that you're not getting too much of a pooling on this. We can always just clean it up after you laid it down on it. The next shade I'm using on the green is Biel Green. So yeah, I'll put that on there, and I'll also on the rubies as well. For the wax, I'm just using Agrax Earthshade. Once all the shades are dry, I'm going over again with all the gold with the Retributor Armour. On the highest parts, I'll use Liberator Gold and just focus on the absolute edges. Once that's laid down on the sharpest edges, I will use Stormhost Silver and just tap it gently on it to kind of get the shine. Once I'm done with the gold, I'm using Canoptek Alloy on the Balthasar Gold parts. Once I finish the Balthasar Gold, I am using Ironbreaker layer paint on the silver parts of the shield. The last part again is to go over the sharpest edges with Stormhost Silver, just to kind of make that sharpest point show a little bit more. Next up is the rubies, and on here I'm going to put a glaze of black on the upper edges of the emeralds. On the bright part of the greens, I'm now laying down Warpstone Glow, just to show where the light is catching. The final green I'm using is Moot Green, and I will put this gently on the bottom parts and on the sharpest points on all the greens. To properly show the reflection on this, I am now adding a dot of white on the upper parts on the rubies. On the wax, I will now use Pink Horror as a highlight on these as well. To get the last highlight on the wax, I'm mixing a little bit of white into the Pink Horror and just dotting it carefully on the wax. And for the purity seal, I am using Screaming Skull layer paint, and I'm just closely using it on the edges. Be careful when you're doing this, and just make sure you have the brush at an angle. When adding the writing on the purity seal, we are just going to use some black, and just be very careful when doing the lines on this, and just dot it. You can use a 0.2 line pen as well for this, to make it easier for yourself. Now we're starting on the red, so I'm using Evil Sun Scarlet, and I'm just going along the line where the shadow is around the entire shield. For the next part, I'm using Wild Rider Red, again just focusing on the sharpest edges and the one that catches the light as well. The last part on the red we're focusing on is Lugganath Orange, and we're just going to put this on the sharpest, most raised edges on the shield to make it pop a little bit more. Now I am putting a matte varnish on the shield, and when this is dry, we are basically going to use a gloss varnish on the rubies, just to make it pop a little bit more, and make that reflection really stick out. And that is the shield complete. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and enjoy and good luck.